When people talk about moving to Colombia, you always hear about Medellín, Bogotá, or Cartagena. Almost nobody talks about Bucaramanga. Bucaramanga has a lot going for it. A warm, breezy climate, one of the lowest costs of living in Colombia, excellent healthcare, and surrounded by some of the most stunning small towns and natural landscapes in the country. So if you're serious about considering Bucaramanga, don't just fly in for a couple of days. Do a proper scouting trip. Spend 1 to 2 weeks in the city, then take side trips to San Gil, Barichara, Chicamocha Canyon, the Juan Curry waterfalls, and even Lebrija near the airport. In this video, I'll show you exactly how I'd plan it. I'm Matt, the Americano. Let's dive in. If you're thinking about Bucaramanga as a place to live, I recommend spending at least 1 to 2 weeks here in the city itself. Bucaramanga doesn't get the same attention as Medellín or Bogotá, but that's part of its charm. It's a mid-sized city, about 600,000 people, big enough to have all the conveniences, but small enough that it feels manageable. Colombians call it the city of parks because it has green spaces everywhere, plazas with trees, and plenty of places to walk or sit outside. One of Bucaramanga's biggest selling points is the climate. It's warm year-round, usually in the 80s, around 27 degrees Celsius, but because of the elevation and constant breezes, it doesn't feel stifling like Barranquilla or Cartagena. Nights cool down, and it's the kind of place where you'll find yourself outside a lot, enjoying the weather. Some of the neighborhoods to scout: Cabecera del Llano. It's an upscale area, lots of shopping, restaurants, and apartments, and it's very popular with professionals. Sotomayor, more residential, quieter, still central. Florida Blanca, technically outside Bucaramanga proper, but part of the metro. Family-friendly with malls, parks, and a suburban vibe. Girón, a colonial-style town right next door, whitewashed buildings and cobblestone streets, slower lifestyle but still connected to the city. Spending time in these neighborhoods help you figure out if you'd prefer the busier urban feel of Cabecera or the quieter, more traditional pace in Florida Blanca or Girón. One of the things that makes Bucaramanga attractive is affordability. Rent is lower than in Medellín, groceries are inexpensive, and healthcare here is some of the best in Colombia. In fact, Bucaramanga is known nationally as the medical hub. The city has great private clinics and hospitals, which is one of the reasons it's so popular with retirees. Day-to-day life is straightforward. You've got malls, local markets, Rappi for delivery, and plenty of restaurants ranging from Colombian street food to international dining. Bucaramanga has a reputation for being a city that's safe, friendly, and livable. It's not as international as Medellín. You won't hear as much English, but that also means it feels more authentically Colombian. The pace of life is comfortable. People spend time outdoors in parks and at cafes. And while there's nightlife, Bucaramanga isn't known as a party city. It's known as a place to live well, without the stress of a bigger capital. Spending 1 to 2 weeks in Bucaramanga gives you the chance to really test it out. Walk the parks and plazas, check out a few neighborhoods, visit a mall, a local market, and try Rappi for deliveries. Experience the climate day and night, and maybe even check out the healthcare system if that's part of your plan. That's how you'll know whether Bucaramanga itself feels like home-based material. Now let's look at the side trips. Side trip number 1, I would do Chicamocha, San Gil, Juan Curry, and Barichara for about 4 to 5 days. If there's one trip you absolutely need to take while scouting Bucaramanga, it's this one: the loop through Chicamocha Canyon, San Gil, the Juan Curry waterfalls, and Barichara. This trip is where you'll see just how much variety you get living in this region. Adventure sports, natural wonders, colonial charm, all within a few hours of the city. Stop number 1, Chicamocha Canyon. About an hour outside Bucaramanga is Chicamocha Canyon, one of Colombia's most stunning landscapes. Imagine a canyon deeper than the Grand Canyon in parts, but greener, with dramatic mountain ridges. At the park called Panachi, you can ride a cable car across the canyon, about 20 minutes, and gives you some of the best views in the country. For adrenaline junkies, there's paragliding, ziplining, and even bungee-style swings. But even if you just come for the views, Chicamocha is unforgettable. Stop number 2, San Gil, the adventure capital. From Chicamocha, head to San Gil, which is about another hour down the road. San Gil is known as Colombia's adventure sports capital. This is where you can do whitewater rafting, caving, rappelling, paragliding, or just hiking along rivers. The town itself is lively, centered around a big plaza full of hostels, cafes, and local restaurants. On weekends, it fills with Colombian tourists, so it has this energetic adventurous vibe. For expats, Sand Hill shows you that living in Bucaramanga doesn't just mean city life. It means access to weekend getaways that are full of activity and nature. And if you go to Sand Hill, you have to go to Penelope's Pizza and Gringo Mike's, two of my favorite restaurants there. Now stop 3, Cascadas de Huancurry, the waterfalls. Just outside Sand Hill are the Huancurry waterfalls located in an ecological park. It's about a 40-minute hike through the forest, and when you arrive, you'll see a huge waterfall dropping into natural pools where you can swim. If you're brave, you can even rappel down the falls with a guide. One of the coolest adventure experiences in Colombia. If not, just relaxing at the base of the waterfall is worth the trip. This stop gives you that classic Colombian mix of tropical nature and adventure all in one. Stop number 4, Barichara. After Sand Hill and Huancurry, head about 40 minutes west to Barichara. Barichara is often called the most beautiful town in Colombia, and once you walk its cobblestone streets, you'll understand why. The houses are all whitewashed with red clay roofs surrounded by rolling green hills. It feels perfectly preserved. This is a slower, quieter place with artisan shops, boutique hotels, and little cafes tucked into colonial buildings. If you're up for it, walk the Camino Real to the nearby village of Guani, a 2-hour trail that passes through the countryside that hasn't changed in centuries. Barichara is the kind of place where retirees and artists imagine living. Quiet, beautiful, inspiring. So why does this loop matter for expats? Well, because it shows you the lifestyle variety Bucaramanga offers. Within just a few hours, you can stand at the edge of Chicamocha Canyon, go rafting or paragliding in Sand Hill, swim under waterfalls at Huancurry, and wind down in Barichara, one of the most beautiful colonial towns in South America. This is the kind of trip you want to take when you're scouting because it helps you see beyond the city itself. Bucaramanga isn't just where you live, it's the base for all of these experiences. So my suggested time frame would be Day 1, go from Bucaramanga to Chicamocha to Sand Hill. Day 2, adventure activities and Sand Hill. Day 3, hike to Huancurry waterfalls. Day 4, explore Barichara and Camino Real to Guani. And an optional Day 5 to relax in Barichara before heading back. Side trip number 2, Lebrija, Palo Negro, and Giron. Not every scouting trip has to be a multi-day loop like Sand Hill or Barichara. Some of the best lifestyle options around Bucaramanga are actually just minutes away in places like Lebrija, Palo Negro, and Giron. These spots give you a sense of what it's like to live just outside the city, with either a breezy mountain vibe or colonial town charm. About 20 minutes from Bucaramanga, near the Palo Negro International Airport, is the town of Lebrija. The climate here is similar to Bucaramanga, warm during the day, but because it sits on top of a mountain ridge, you get this constant breeze that makes it incredibly comfortable. This is the kind of place where you can live in a finca-style house or a gated community surrounded by greenery, but still just be minutes from the airport and less than a half an hour from Bucaramanga. A friend of mine who's a real estate developer has his home here along with lots for sale. And it's easy to see why. You get space, views, tranquility, and that breeze that keeps the heat away. And for a bonus, there's a restaurant here called Mirazur Picnic that overlooks the airport runway. You can sit with a cold drink and watch planes take off while enjoying great local food with one of the best views in the region. On the other side of the city is Giron, a colonial town that feels like stepping back in time. Whitewashed buildings, cobblestone streets, red tile roofs. It's officially listed as one of Colombia's heritage towns. Giron is technically part of the Bucaramanga metro area, so you get the charm of a colonial village but still have quick access to all the modern conveniences of the city. It's quieter, slower, and very walkable. Perfect if you want to experience small-town Colombia without giving up easy access to Bucaramanga. For expats, Giron is attractive if you're looking for a balance. Lower cost of living, colonial charm, but still close enough that you're not isolated. Why does this trip matter if you're scouting Bucaramanga? Well, because it shows you what life looks like just outside the city limits. You can live in a breezy mountain community in Lebrija, close to the airport and with incredible views. Or you can live in a colonial town like Giron with cobblestone streets and historic charm while still being part of the Bucaramanga metro. Both options give you something Bucaramanga itself doesn't. Either more space and tranquility or more old world charm. My suggested time frame: Spend a half a day in Lebrija and Palo Negro checking out housing areas, the climate, and grabbing a meal at Mirazur Picnic. Then head to Giron in the afternoon or evening for a walk through the historic center. Maybe stay overnight in a boutique hotel or just enjoy a quiet dinner in the plaza. And for a bonus day trip, Floridablanca. Just spend a half a day here. And while we're talking about nearby towns, you should also take a quick trip to Floridablanca. It's technically part of the Bucaramanga metro area, only about 15 minutes away, but it has its own identity. Floridablanca is known as the Sweet City of Colombia because it's famous for its candies and traditional desserts. It's also more suburban with more large malls, family-friendly neighborhoods, and easy access to green spaces like Parque Aqualago, a water park popular with families. For expats, Floridablanca is appealing if you want to live in a quieter residential area while still having Bucaramanga right next door. It's less about being a tourist destination and more about seeing what suburban life would feel like here. So now you've seen the city of Bucaramanga, the big adventure and colonial loop through San Gil and Barichara, and the nearby escapes to Lebrija and Giron. But what does all of this mean if you're seriously considering moving here? Well, let's tie it all together. So why does all of this matter if you're considering Bucaramanga? Because when most expats think of Colombia, they think about Medellín, Bogotá, or Cartagena. Bucaramanga hardly ever comes up, but that's exactly why it's worth scouting. Here's what you get if you base yourself here. A mid-sized, affordable city with good infrastructure, tons of parks, and excellent healthcare. A climate that's warm year-round but breezy and comfortable compared to the coast. A slower pace of life, fewer tourists, and a more authentically Colombian experience. But the real value of Bucaramanga is what's just outside the city. In a 4 to 5 day loop, you can visit Chicamocha Canyon, San Gil, the Juan Curry Waterfalls, and Barichara, combining adventure, nature, and colonial charm all in one trip. In less than half an hour, you can be in Lebrija with breezy mountain living near the airport, or Giron, a perfectly preserved colonial town that still connects directly into the metro. And if you want suburban comforts, Floridablanca gives you malls, neighborhoods, and that family-friendly suburban feel. From an expat perspective, Bucaramanga offers a lifestyle that's authentic, affordable, and diverse. You're not just picking a city, you're picking a whole ecosystem of side trips and lifestyles that all fit together within easy reach. So that's how I'd plan a proper scouting trip to Bucaramanga. Spend 1 to 2 weeks in the city itself, then take the big loop through Chicamocha Canyon, San Gil, the Juan Curry Waterfalls, and Barichara. And don't forget the nearby escapes to Lebrija, Giron, and Floridablanca. Together, they give you a complete picture of what life could look like here. A city that's affordable, authentic, and surrounded by some of the most beautiful nature and colonial towns in Colombia. If you found this video helpful, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe, because I've also put together scouting trip guides for Bogotá, Medellín, and Barranquilla, so you can compare Colombia's top cities side by side and figure out which one fits your lifestyle. And don't forget to check out my free weekly newsletter, The Passport, where I share even more expat tips, cost of living breakdowns, and behind the scenes stories. The link's in the description below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.